Hello, welcome. This is the market wrap. I'm Agam Vakil. Well, it's a surprising sharp up move towards the last 1 hour of trade that we've seen for the benchmarks. And with that, pardon me, we've seen the Nifty and the Sensex end with gains positively ending the week. About 1.5% gains for the benchmarks, and a lot of this has to do with some of your oil and gas names, specifically in this case, ONGC, along with something like a Reliance Industry. And of course, from the OMCs, we have BPCL along with GAIL also participating in the gains. We have to remember that Reliance Industries gained 4% today, and that is also one of the key reasons why we are looking at these benchmarks ending with gains of around 1.4% at the end of the day. Well, on the losing end, we have Hindalco and Britannia. And Britannia is a very curious case because what a stellar set of numbers coming in for this one. We were expecting a robust quarter, and we've got an even better quarter in comparison. In fact, with profits doubling in a quarter where we've seen the pandemic play mayhem, on a lot of these consumption companies. So, but most probably seeing a little bit of profit taking there. Tata Consultancy Services, Nestle, along with HCL Technologies, also under a bit of pressure. HCL once again coming out the numbers ahead of expectations, but weakening after. Given the kind of momentum that we've seen off late. Let's talk about the broader markets very quickly. And the picture out there may not be very different. We did see a lot of traction in those which are advancing. The advanced decline ratio, has been evenly poised when it comes to the previous 4 days. Again, when it comes to the NSE 500, we're going to have to wait and watch as to how this shapes up as we move into the next week. Do remember, in terms of some of the key movers, well, we do have, something like an HEG, Vodafone Idea recovering actually after going below the mark of 8 rupees a share yesterday. We have Hathway Cable and Datacom up, Orient Cement, Bharat Dynamics, and Chennai Petro, all of them doing well. Granules India, of course, a lot of momentum coming in that one. On the losing end, we have some usual suspects like Bakrangi, Arvind Fashions, KPIT Technologies, and L&T Technology Services. But as I was mentioning, the advanced decline ratio is 2:1, and that is always a positive when it comes to the NSE 500. But on that note, let me get in our market secretary, Niraj Shah, for his thoughts on how things are panning out. Niraj, good afternoon.
Hey, Agam, good afternoon. And for a change, companies in your sector took a bit of a back seat, isn't it? I mean, not quite in the front seat, let me put it that way. But I heard Agam mention what surprising turn the markets took in the last 1.5 hours. And well, I guess courtesy Reliance and HDFC Bank, when they do that, you can't really think too much else would happen. But key point being, one, that the European markets are trading slightly quiet, and US markets too. The futures are very, very flat. So no big moves out there, marginally off or marginally higher for the European indices, as you can see. FTSE CAC DAX about 0.25% here and there, and US markets are not on right now. The futures are trading absolutely flat after the kind of downtick that we saw, particularly in the Nasdaq yesterday. But some very interesting developments that happened in the last few hours, aside of course, what happened to Reliance and HDFC Bank. Idea was interesting. TDSAT has banned the price. The TRA has ordered new customers will be able to add under the Vodafone Idea plan, and that led to that stock doing well. It's a stock which is in focus simply because it's got news today. The AGR verdict is slated to happen on Monday, and therefore Vodafone Idea right there in terms of newsmakers. So do watch out. Monday could be the big make or break day for this stock, and therefore, also could have impact on Reliance and Bharti Airtel too. So keep that at the back of your mind. That aside, I think what we saw in Britannia was, and I want Agam to dwell on this a bit, but what we saw in Britannia was buy the rumor, sell the news, I think, because fabulous numbers, just that it went up quite a bit ahead of the numbers and then has pulled back. So the question is, can it do more? This is, of course, a Vodafone Idea. This is separate. But if you just look at Britannia, and this is the bit, I think the stock did really well in the run up to the event, and in today's session ended about 1.83% lower. Let's wait and watch how this shapes up. But just before I go to Agam on Britannia, keep in mind all marketing companies are in a favor of their own since yesterday, when this divestment talk has again gained some fervor. BPCL has been on a roll, yes, today to about 12% higher, but HPIOC too are gaining maybe inventory gains and therefore better results, or maybe a mixture of divestment plus results plus everything else. All of that just led to how well some of these stocks, including BP, IOC, and HPCL, have done. So let's wait and watch if there is more in store. But Agam, it was very interesting that Britannia beat all estimates comfortably by a margin, and yet the stock underperformed. So question is, it could be base profit booking. Do you reckon that despite the stretch valuation, will brokerages give it a bit of a thumbs up?
Yeah, that is actually the case because it's already run up quite a bit. But we must remember that even in the fourth quarter, food companies like Nestle and Britannia did well. They outperformed the rest of the sector. They actually did much better than some of your larger names like Hindustan Unilever as well, at least in terms of the earnings performance. And this quarter, however, was certainly a very, very big surprise. Now, I don't know to what extent were these fantastic numbers already factored in, but we must remember that we were already expecting a robust set of numbers. And when you come up with such an expansion in operating margins and with your net profit doubling, this is, of course, to a certain extent, a lot to do with the fact that the revenues were a lot larger than what we were working with. And that's the reason why we are looking at that expansion in operating margins. And certainly a very, very big surprise. But the real question is, do we see a change in your valuations and the kind of price to earnings multiples a lot of these analysts assign to Britannia? That's a wait and watch. What will also be curious as to what does this do for Nestle India, and what kind of expectations will it have now? Will that see analysts re-rate perhaps their expectations for Nestle in the upcoming quarter? That's something that we're going to wait and have to watch out for. So, well, FMCG earnings, of course, the first one is a really good one. We're going to keep an eye on Hindustan Unilever as well, which will come up with earnings this week. And of course, we'll be watching out for that. As far as the benchmarks are concerned, we are continuing to see that consolidation, even though the Nifty has once again moved and advanced higher up, but that is largely on the back of a handful of names. So keep an eye on that one as well. But on that note, it's a wrap on the markets, but there's lots more lined up. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint.